Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Crazy D's Equipment. So the other day I had a gentleman come in and he was wanting to purchase this plow. He had a little 30 horse Mahindra tractor. He was wanting to buy this so he could break open some ground so he could get ready to put in a fall garden. And basically I told him this is not the plow for you. His tractor could not operate this piece of equipment. It would have just ended up being an anchor. And I think let's go in the office and let's sit down and let's discuss horsepower and how to know the actual horsepower, or where to find the actual horsepower and capability of your tractor. So guys, let's head on inside and let's have a discussion. Come on in.
So guys, before we go too much further and get into the horsepower of tractors and stuff, I'd just like to say, if you like this kind of content or you find this stuff useful, to remember to please hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon. I highly appreciate it, and that way you guys know when the next videos come out, and there'll be a lot more stuff along this line here in the future. And then if you enjoyed this one today, go back into the channel. There's a lot of videos similar to this that might be other information that you'd find useful. But anyhow, so to keep you guys from being like the gentleman that came in the other day, it's really important to be able to know and understand the capability of your tractor. And the first and the most important part of that is to know the actual horsepower of a tractor. Now, there is a difference clearly between old horsepower and new horsepower. Old horsepower tractor, back in the day, a Farmall M could pull a 314 bottom plow, 2 miles an hour through the field. Now, that's a 35 horsepower tractor. A modern Mahindra or a modern Kubota of the same horsepower is not going to even be able to move that plow at all. I mean, it's going to be like a boat anchor back there. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. First thing is, a Farmall M is probably about 1,000 pounds heavier than a modern Mahindra of the same horsepower. Also, a Farmall M is going to have twice the torque, if not 3 times the torque, as a modern Mahindra. Even though one's gas, one's diesel, that makes a huge factor on what capability that your tractor actually has. So how do you find the actual horsepower of your tractor? Well, there's 3 ways you can go about this. The first way is you guys can go and get on Yesterday's Tractors or Tractor Data, and you guys can look up your tractor on Tractor Data. Now, the thing about Tractor Data is it's a good site and it gives you a lot of really good information, but I have found many times where it's been incorrect. If it's been either incorrect about production number, actual base weight of a tractor, I've seen a few times where it's been incorrect on horsepower on tractors, and I've seen a couple times where on some that it had manufacturing dates incorrect. Now, I'm not for sure where the information on Tractor Data comes from. At one time I was told that, people gave that information to the sites, but I think it's not like Wikipedia where people can adjust it and stuff. So I don't think it's like that. But the other thing you guys can do is you can go to work and you guys can get on if you have a now this is mostly nowadays for if you have a modern tractor. If you get on the Nebraska Tractor website, you can, from 1990 to modern day, look up your manufacturer, your model of tractor, and it'll give you everything that they tested for. The Nebraska Tractor Test, they've been testing tractors. They're kind of like the Consumer Report. They are the Consumer Report of ag machinery, of ag tractors and stuff. Back in the World War II era, in the teens, there was a company called Ford that was making tractors. Now, it's not the Ford you're thinking about. It was a smaller company. Back then, the copyright thing was a little bit looser on names and stuff. They built kind of like this big wheeled in the front with a little tail wheel on the back tractor, and let's just say they weren't the most honest company in the world, and they gave a lot of false information about their tractors and stuff, and a lot of farmers had bought those believing that, you know, this tractor was going to be capable of doing this kind of work for them, and it turned out it wasn't. Also, from what I've read, they were kind of shoddily built. They weren't the best built tractor in the world, and some things came to play, and I'm not for sure exactly what, but some things came to play, and the US government stepped in, and there was the University of Nebraska Tractor Test Act of 1919. And from 1920 on to this day, the University of Nebraska has an agency that tests every single tractor that is produced in the United States or is sold in the United States to prove that the manufacturer's horsepower, RPMs, all that stuff that they claim is factual when you buy that tractor. So, you know, that's a great thing. It's a great thing. And stuff, you can usually go and find that site. But say you know, the tractor's 20 years old. So what is my actual horsepower? Because over time, you're going to lose horsepower, just like your car gets slower over time because of wear and tear on your engine. Your tractor gets weaker over time due to wear and tear on the engine. You have less and less horsepower. So how do we figure out the exact horsepower of the tractor? There is a mathematical equation that you can use. Some information you're going to have to find. You're going to have to be able to get the RPMs of your motor, and you're going to need to, and you're going to get RPMs. You're going to either need to take your tractor and have it hooked up to a dyno, and you can do that at some dealerships. We'll be able to do that for you and give you an exact reading, or you can just kind of go off what the tack on the tractor says. I mean, if it's accurate, this is great. That's great. If it's not working, then, you know, or if you don't feel it's accurate, then I wouldn't use that information. But it's very, very simple. It is torque times the RPM divided by 5,252. And that will give you the actual horsepower that motor is producing at that time. So that will be able to will give you an ideal of how much horsepower I actually have. Now, once you have that information, there's still other things that you're going to need to take into consideration of what your tractor is actually going to be able to do. For an example, like the gentleman that came in wanting to buy that plow. Even if his tractor, say, was 50 horses and could handle that plow, there's a lot of factors that you need to figure. What is your soil like? Is it a sandy loam or is it a heavy gumbo? Is it wet conditions or is it dry and packed? Those will make a huge impact on what you're able to do with that tractor. And then even when, say, let's forget about plowing, you don't want to plow, you want to mow with your tractor. Well, how big a bush hog can I handle? Well, what are you mowing? Is the grass this tall or is it normal height? Is it full of weeds and heavy brush and heavy brambles and stuff, or is it just grass? I mean, that's going to consider how big a bush hog or how big a sickle bar on your sickle mower that your tractor's going to be able to handle out there. You got to take those things into consideration and know what your tractor is capable of. And like I said, once you've established your true horsepower and you establish that that your tractor is capable of, in normal conditions, operating a 5-foot bush hog, when you get out there to the pasture and you see that the weeds now have grown up higher than the front of your 9N Ford, then you got to say, okay, I'm only 20 horses here, I got a 5-foot bush hog, and I got weeds taller than me right now. Is my tractor going to be able to do the job? Well, possibly, but you're not going to do it in any form of a speedy manner. You're going to put that tractor down in one, you're going to idle it up all the way, and you're going to creep along for the first few passes. And if you want to mow that down to perfect, where you've knocked all the weeds out and there's not a stray weed just kind of out there, you're going to probably have to mow that 2 or 3 times. Now, if you go out into that field, say with a 180 Alice with a 7-foot bush hog on the back, you probably are going to be able to tootle along about 3 miles an hour and only have to make one pass to be able to mow that all down and out. So those are just some of the things, guys, I think you need to kind of think about when you're on there and you're like, hey, I think that piece of equipment would work on my tractor. Well, let's stop, let's think, let's go over what the conditions that you're going to be using that in, and it'll establish to you, is my tractor enough tractor for the job that I'm getting ready to do. So, but anyways, guys, thank you guys all for coming in once again. I hope this information helps you guys out and helps you make the decisions that you need to make on your machinery. Please remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon. And if you are looking for a piece of equipment, go to Facebook and you can find anything and everything that's on our lot at Omega Ag Sales on Facebook. Also, you can find just the channel on Facebook now too, and at Crazy D's Equipment. And if you just want to see pictures of stuff that's come through the lot or things I found at auctions, you can find us on Instagram too. But hey guys, we appreciate this. Thank you for coming in, and I will catch you in the next video.